Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears here, bringing you another Christmas in July video. Today I'm sharing a brand new collection designed by Yana Smakula for Spellbinders, and this collection is called the De-Light-Ful Christmas Collection. There are about 8 different products in this collection, and I'm sharing 3 of the products with you today. The products that I have are the Glimmer Holly Background Hot Foil Plate. This plate has a holly berry design, and the plate is approximately 4.5 inches by 5.8 inches, and it will fill an entire A2 size card front. You can use this plate alone, or you can use it with the layered Glimmer holly background stencil. So if you wanted to add color to the background once you hot foil it, you can do so easily with this stencil. This stencil is 4 different layers, so you can add a different color combination to the leaves and the berries. I also have the A Merry Little Christmas Sentiments, and these are also hot foil plates, and they come with matching dies to cut out the sentiments. Some of the sentiments included are May Your Days Be Merry and Bright, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, Season's Greetings, Christmas Blessings, and several others. So as I said, there are many other products in this collection, and I will link all of the products down in the description box below. And I always appreciate when you use my links because it does help support me. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the background hot foil plate. My Glimmer machine is already warmed up, so I'm placing my hot foil background on the Glimmer machine, and I did press the timer button, and as soon as that Glimmer plate is warmed up, my platform ready button will be solid, but in the meantime I'm going to get my hot foil ready. I am going to use the gold hot foil from Spellbinders. There's so many different colors that you can use, but I'm choosing to use gold. So once this is all heated up, I'm going to put my foil over the hot foil plate with the shiny side face down, and then I'm going to put my cardstock right on top of that. And then I will put the 2 shims right on top. Next, I'll remove the entire platform from the base of my hot foil machine, and I'll just run this through my Spellbinders die cutting machine. Next, I will remove the foil from the cardstock and look at that beautiful design. Now the cardstock that I like to use when I use hot foil is a smooth cardstock, and the cardstock that I'm using is the Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth cardstock. Now this foil piece, go ahead and hang on to it because now we're going to use it to get that design back on another piece of cardstock. And to do that, I'm going to use this Essential Glimmer Solid Rectangle Hot Foil Plate. So what this solid rectangle hot foil plate will do is it will transfer the negative hot foil piece onto a piece of cardstock. So once that hot foil plate is nice and hot, I'll go ahead and put the hot foil directly on top of the hot foil plate with the gold side facing down, and then I'll add my cardstock. After that, I will add my 2 shims. I'll release the tray from the platform and run it through my die cutting machine. So now I'll go ahead and take a look at the design on the cardstock, and you can see how it put that entire design from that negative piece onto my white cardstock. And since that negative piece was pretty large, I still had some left over, so I'm just going to go ahead and repeat this process again. My solid rectangle is already heated up, so I'm just going to put the rest of the negative piece from the hot foil on top of that, and then I'm going to add the cardstock plus my 2 shims and run this through my die cutting machine. And then I'll go ahead and remove that hot foil, and there is the background. Next, I'm going to hot foil one of the sentiments. So I go ahead and put my sentiment on my Glimmer machine. Once it's nice and hot, I'll go ahead and put my hot foil on there, followed by red cardstock. And then I will go ahead and add my plates and run this through my die cutting machine. So this red cardstock that I'm using is the Spellbinders Color Essential cardstock, and I did find that this cardstock also gives me some good results with the hot foil. So there's my sentiment, and I'll go ahead and use the coordinating die to die cut this sentiment from the cardstock. After all of my hot foiling is completed, I'm ready to do some stenciling with that holly background. So I am using the stencils. I'm going to line up this first stencil with the leaves that are on the Glimmer background. And I'll be using my Distress Oxide inks to ink up the stencil. So I'm holding it there with my magnets, and the first ink that I'm using is the Distress Oxide Mode Lawn. So I'm just going to take my ink blending brush and go over the openings of the stencil to color in all of the leaves. Once I finish with that first stencil, I'll go ahead and remove it, and then I'll add the next stencil. And then I'm going to come in with the Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide ink to color in the leaves that are on this stencil. So I'm using greens for all of my leaves, but I'm using different color greens so that I have more variety and color to my background. Next, I'm adding the third stencil, lining it up. So each stencil has openings to color different style leaves, and with this style I am using the Distress Oxide Twisted Citron ink. And the last stencil is for the berries, and I'm using the Festive Berries Distress Oxide ink. So here's a look at what that background looks like when it's all colored in. Now remember, you can use that Glimmer hot foil background by itself, or you can color it in with the stencil and your ink pads. And I also want to point out that the stencil does not allow for the ink color to go all the way to the edge of the leaves or the berries, and that's how it was designed. And also notice that not all of the leaves have ink, some are just the gold leaves. So next I'm going to take one of my A2 precision layering dies, and I'm going to die cut this background from the cardstock. I also cut out a piece of red solid cardstock as my back layering piece. It's the same color that I used for the sentiment. I'll go ahead and add the sentiment to the center of the holly background, and then I'll add the holly background to the red cardstock. And then I'll add that to an A2 size card base. I'm going to finish this card by adding some of the gold glitter pops of color to the center of each one of the berries. The center of those berries already has a piece of the gold foiling inside of them, so I'm just going to add some of the dimension there by adding the pops of color. The pops of color is a liquid embellishment, and when it dries, it will dry with dimension. So next I'm going to make a card using that negative piece from the foil. I'm using a rectangle die that's the same size as that foiled piece, and I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine to cut it out of the cardstock. I'll go ahead and set that piece aside, and then in the meantime I have a piece of red cardstock that I'm going to run through my die cutting machine, but I'm using an embossing folder on this cardstock, and the embossing folder that I'm using is a Spellbinders 3D embossing folder. It's called Scenic Poinsettias. So you can see all of that beautiful raised dimension. I'm also going to bring in a Spellbinders die set. This is the Holiday Blooms dies, and I die cut a poinsettia die out of some red cardstock. I'm just layering it up here. I also die cut some of the pine leaves, and I'm just putting this flower together. So I added a center in white to the flower. I'm also going to have the green leaves. So before I attach that flower to my card, I want to attach this foil background to the embossed background. The stems of the leaves were a little bit too long, so I am going to snip them off, and then I'm going to have those leaves so they're tucked underneath the flower, and I'll attach them by using some double-sided adhesive tape. So I'm just going to turn that flower over and attach the tape, and that flower is going to go in the top left-hand corner of my card. And I'm not gluing the entire leaf down so that I can pop it up here with my fingers just to add a little bit of dimension. Off camera, I hot foiled a sentiment that says Christmas blessings, and then I die cut it with the coordinating die, and I'm going to add it at the lower right hand corner of my card. I'll add this card layer to an A2 size white card base. And then I'm going to use some of the Spellbinders Color Essential Gems in red and add a few to the centers of the berries that are on the hot foil background. So here's an up close look at this second card. And here's a look at both cards I made with the Spellbinders De-Light-Ful Christmas Collection. So I would love for you to leave me a comment and let me know what you thought of my cards today. And also let me know if you are getting started on your Christmas card making. And if you liked any of the products you saw today, remember there are links down in the description box below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like videos like this, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and turning on your bell notifications by clicking that bell button. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day. Bye-bye.